today, and I had a poblano pepper in there, and I touched my nose, and my nose is on fire. Here we go in three. Oh God, it hurts. 3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Ring Post Radio. It's not a Ring Post Radio night. It's a early afternoon Ring Post Radio. So I guess I'll have a soda, a Mountain Dew, a gin fizz. I don't know. Maybe that's too much. But thank you everybody for joining us for this Ring Post Radio. We are live on the internet. We have a great show in store for all of you. I am Ryan Knightsey, of course. With me, as always, my co-host, Scotty Edwards. Scotty, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine.
Yeah,
it's been a long week.
It's been a long week for you, but I'm hoping you're feeling better. I know it's been a rough week for you, but good show, good wrestling conversation. Hopefully that can cheer you up a little bit.
That's the hope. That's why I'm here.
And to help us with the Hope Rising, I can't think of, I didn't have anything immediately, but help us with the Hope Rising. Helping us today is the Dungeon Master of the Count Out Patreon D&D show, Cantrips and Clotheslines, none other than Jared Luthi. Jared, welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me. This is very exciting. I always dreamt about being on a wrestling podcast someday.
Well, you've made it.
As I'm shouting at my TV, people should listen to my opinion. No, I'm just kidding.
And that's how Ring Post Radio was born.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, it wasn't my TV, but it was my fiance who I was shouting.
Yeah, definitely my girlfriend has to put up with a lot of my nonsense about wrestling, and you know, she'll come with a quip that's correct. I was like, wow, how'd you know that? She goes, I don't know what you've done to me. And she like kind of sulks away.
My fiance out of nowhere, I think yesterday, I believe brought up Tomohiro Ishii out of nowhere. And I was like, holy crap, what? Excuse me? She's like, are you proud of me now? I was like, I think so. I don't know if that's a good thing that you know who Tomohiro Ishii is, but to me it is. It's the fantastic thing.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we're welcome to the show, of course.
Thank you
so much for coming on. We haven't really talked about. You and I have done several sessions of D&D together.
Mm-hmm.
For the Count Out Patreon, patreon.com/countout pod. I think Count Out Pod. We've been several sessions of D&D, but we haven't really talked about, Jared. Like, how long have you been into wrestling as a sort of like endeavor, as a sort of hobby?
I started. I'm 36 right now. So when I was in 6th grade, I was like, it was like prime Attitude Era. I remember turning it on because I used to kind of be into it when I was a kid in the 80s. Every once in a while, watch a videotape like the old Coliseum videos. But then I went. I was like, my friends at school were talking about it. I was like, okay, let's watch. And I got super into it. And I was thinking the other day about when I became a lapsed fan. And I know the exact match that I was like, oh, this is lame, and just kind of dropped off. And it was the 2000 Royal Rumble when Cactus Jack and Triple H had that street fight. Mm-hmm. And Triple H won. And I was like, and I was a kid back, like I didn't know the machinations, behind it and everything. And I was like, well, that's lame. And I remember my interest just kind of diving. I didn't watch Raw that Monday. I kind of was just over it. So I was lapsed like the whole like quote unquote ruthless aggression era.
Sorry, one second. It's ruthless aggression.
Yeah. Sorry, ruthless.
Yeah. Get a little rasp in your voice. Sorry.
Strangely enough, I came back as soon as the network, because I was like, oh, that's fun. And I was a huge Giant Bomb fan, with video games, with everybody, and they would talk about wrestling all the time. And my first kind of like endeavor back was getting the network and watching Daniel Bryan at that WrestleMania in New Orleans. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And wrestling is like really cool. I remember why I like it, and then like I got into it. I'm an observer subscriber and has been kind of super into it ever since. Like I go to PWG when I can. I've been to, I have family in Japan, so I've seen a couple shows over there. Yeah, it's been, I have not looked back since I got back into it. So
speaking about my fiance, I have pitched to her going to Japan during our honeymoon, which will just so happen to be Christmas break area next year.
Yes.
So I'm working on that pitch. I'm working on that pitch to be like, hey, what if we did Wrestle Kingdom? Man, I'm jealous about that. That's awesome. I did not know that. And also, speaking of the Patreon, Ryan hasn't seen anything that show. That Dana Bryan WrestleMania match, never seen it. Never seen it yet.
Oh,
yeah,
crazy.
It was funny. Is my best friend got back into wrestling in that exact same way that you did, with the network coming out.
Yeah.
Though his favorite was The Undertaker. So the first pay-per-view he ever saw live, he watched The Undertaker lose his streak, and he was like, shit. Why do I like wrestling? I said, I don't know, man. This is a tough one for you. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and like when I came back, I got fascinated with the whole, like the business sort of it, of like who decide. Like I'm always fascinated about, okay, the booking theory of like, okay, when does a guy lose? When does a guy win? How long? I wish so kind of a tangent. I wish my uncle was still alive. He was like, he was a big wrestling guy and like trainer back in the day. And like you know that picture of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus when they show them during their feud as like kids or whatever like that? Yeah. That's in my uncle's backyard. Like my uncle trained them.
Whoa.
Like, was like the first trainer or whatever like that. I remember when he died, Excalibur like shouted him out during a match. I was like, wait, what? And like Dave like wrote an obituary in the Observer that week for him, and I was listening to it. I was just going. Whoa. So I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, this is very strange. She goes, oh. And like we were kind of strange. Like he wasn't the nicest guy, but it's still like a crazy like connection to wrestling that I have, that I kind of wish he was, like I could talk to him and be like, hey, and like I found out so much about him during that obituary, because Dave's obituaries are second to none. Like, they are phenomenal. So like reading all this stuff about him, we found out a lot about his career that we didn't know. It was really cool. So that's kind of like a weird connection I have to it that was just kind of blindsided me. I was just watching it one day and Excalibur like says his name. I was like, whoa, that's strange.
Wow, that's fantastic to have. You're sort of stumbling upon it, but it's stumbling upon like a important California-based trainer for a bunch of indie wrestlers. I'm sure, because I'm sure he didn't just train Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy. I'm sure it was other.
He stopped at the dinosaur. He's like,
I've had enough. I've had enough of the dinos.
And I remember in high school, like he put on an indie show for like a fundraiser for my mom coaches softball. They like did like an indie show in our gym for like, and it was like I was like it unlocked all these memories. I was like, oh my god, that's right. Like, so like getting back into wrestling has been a very cool thing. I've made a lot of new friends. Like, it's been really, really, really nice.
That's fantastic, and I'm sure there's like now like a sort of connection to your uncle in that sense as well.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. That's fantastic news. I love hearing that kind of stuff. I don't know how to transition to a fantastic story, but we have fantastic news today to go over. And of course, we'll be reviewing Final Battle, Ring of Honor's Final Battle show that happened over the weekend, along with NXT Deadline. How did I say it? Deadline? NXT Deadline. And then kind of a quick little preview of World Tag League, Super Junior Tag League finals, which will also be happening this Wednesday. But before we get to all that, we got a bunch of news to go over because kind of a newsworthy week for wrestling, I'll say. So we'll sort of get through all of that. So I'll just shout out you guys when you have any opinions and stuff. But first off in the news bits, WWE held another tryout this past week. We don't know everyone that was in it, but we do know that there were some independent wrestling standouts, just like Kylie Ray, Casey Navarro, Dutch and Vincent from the former Ring of Honor Righteous Ones group, and along with other wrestlers and probably non-wrestlers as well. So what do you think about maybe this is a sign of WWE wanting to look at more independent wrestlers, not just non-wrestling athletic people? Maybe this is a sign of that. Do you think this is a sign of that? Or do you think that this is just, they're showing up, they're not going to get any signing contracts or anything? Scotty, what do you think?
Why else would we be bringing William Regal back if we're not going to look at Indie Town? That is his entire job. I know he's there to, be with his son and whatever, but that too, like this William Regal's thing. So yeah, I'm not shocked at all. I thought Kylie Ray was a big name to see. Obviously, she's been everywhere and for cups of tea, not a long period of time. She's actually been in NWA for a few years now, right?
Maybe? I don't think she's been wrestling.
Is she still there?
I don't think she's still there. I don't think she's still in the NWA.
Either Casey Navarro is a good prospect. Vincent and Dutch have been, I feel like, rumored to be going there for months now. So it's like this seems to be more guaranteed than not. But I think looking at all talent is very important if you're a professional wrestling company instead of just athletes from colleges. So this is it's a good way to go, and I'm looking forward to the wars back and forth between them and AEW to get some talent now.
Oh yeah, Jared, what do you think? Do you think WWE is going back on their policy of independent wrestling talent, or do you think they're still picking up college athletes?
I think they're doing both. I think it's like they go through those phases of like a tick and a talk. So like tick, okay, we're only doing indie talents, or talk, okay, no, we're only doing our college athletes. We're doing the, when I know when Vince was there and he took over NXT for that little stint, it was no, indie talents are no, we're only doing the college athlete program. And I can understand that. We want them trained our way. I wonder if it's easier to train them to do their way only versus not, kind of training out all those indie tendencies that those guys pick up on the road or at other places to work the WWE style. And, kind of like what Scott said, that's Regal's job, I bet, coming back in is, no, this is the way we do it, left foot forward roll, that kind of stuff. And I don't know. I think it's crazy that these indie guys spend as long as they do in NXT. Do you remember how long Nakamura was there?
Several years, if I'm not mistaken.
And the joke was like, no, he's got to learn how to know where the hard cam is. It's like, dog, what? Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, that's one of my big frustrations with these tryouts is that meanwhile on television, you have everyone that formerly worked for WWE get like the clean pass in the main roster, even if I maybe they need a little more training. But you're about to have, with Nikki Cross, you're about to have Eric Young, Killian Dane, and Alexander Wolf just show back up on the main roster. Meanwhile, for my money, one of the best independent women's talents on today has to do a tryout and prove that she can wrestle, and then at the end of the day, if she gets hired, like you said, broken down and rebuilt.
I wonder about Kylie Ray because she's been everywhere, and it hasn't always worked out, in her favor. Meaning, she'll have, her mental health issues get in the way, and that's really crappy. And I wonder if that's going to be a good place for her, because I've heard from a couple places that they're going to start touring up again, like in that little coconut loop.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Well, hopefully she can hang and good things come to her, but maybe a place like NWA was like a good spot because it was only on YouTube. It was very low key, low pressure. So because she was going to be like the main fixture of the AEW women's division from what I remember.
Yeah. And then after AEW, when she came back, then she was going to be the main fixture of Impact's women's division. And then that fell through, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the NWA's women's division, I guess,
is who knows? I like wrestling, but I don't like. I'm not an NWA fan. Wrestling fan,
That means you are a wrestling fan.
Okay, yeah.
NWA.
Yeah, I don't think Billy Corgan's wrestling style is a hot commodity right now. Let's move on to the next topic. You brought up William Regal, Scotty. Well, we got more details about William Regal and him being let go from AEW. It's a real tragic story. Definitely go look into it. But it was all about involving Tony Khan's mother's health, and basically that Regal wanted to go back to NXT with his son, with the rest of his family, all that other stuff. And, he doesn't want to tour as much, so that idea. But basically, what we know from his contract is that he'll be able to go to WWE in the new year, but he cannot appear on screen, just behind the scenes as a coach until his AEW contract time period formally ends, I imagine. Jared, we'll start with you. What do you think about Regal coming back to WWE? We talked about it last week, Scotty and I, about how it's a good move, maybe, but also is a dangerous man with a lot of contacts. So I'm weary. But what do you think about William Regal going back?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think it was a very fair thing for Tony to do. He wanted to work with his son. He wanted to be there. Yada yada. But then again, Triple H couldn't really help himself, and he fucking tweeted that video of him saying War Games, and it's like, bro, what do we, you can't just fucking let it go. You can't just oh yeah, cool, he did us a solid. You got to get that little fucking dig in, and it's people always complain about, oh, they broke the throne, and it's yeah, so
the guy that broke the throne, of course, is there now.
Yeah, is there now. So, and it's
fascinated how his booking is going to go.
Yeah, he'll
be fine.
That'll be interesting.
But yeah, I think a lot of money.
I wonder if Tony didn't have those family problems going on, would he have been so okay with letting him go? Probably. I would think, because he just seems like a fair boss like that. Mm-hmm. And I think having him be behind the scenes for, I think it's a year long, I think that's fine. But you're right. He's got a lot of contacts, and a lot of those guys really like Regal. So
yeah,
I could see that kind of biting him in the butt, but time will tell.
Especially with the conversation of that with this WWE tryout, maybe they're looking at indie talent again.
Yeah.
Maybe they can poach, I don't know, Cole Carter back. Maybe they'll be get him back in the fold, get him back into La Familia. No, that was the other one. What was the Italian Jones accent? Faction called. God, La Familia was Santos, I believe. Anyways,
no,
am I right?
That's Legato.
Legato? Oh, it's Legato. But didn't someone say La Familia a bunch? I don't remember.
La Familia was when Edge was with
oh yeah,
Chavo and Vicky,
and Alicia Fox was in there as the wedding coordinator or something.
Yeah, she was a wedding coordinator at the time, I think. Why are we talking about this? Why are we doing this? I'm not going back to 2008 SmackDown.
The good old days.
I mean, I've said all I need to say about William Regal, truthfully. I don't have many thoughts. Yeah. Good for him. He's going home. Home. It is home now for him. He'll get to stay in Florida, do his NXT gig that he loves so much. And, yeah, good for him. He can't be on screen for now. I'm sure that's... I saw some people say, well, that was part of the thing. I was like, there's absolutely no way that there's something in his contract where it's you can never be on air ever again. There's just no way.
Yeah.
There's going to be a day where Dempsey, his son, is up on the main roster, and they're going to have that itch to put Regal with him.
Yeah.
And it's going to work if they do that. But we'll wait and see. But happy for Regal. Good on Tony Khan for being the good guy here. And Blackpool Combat Club now lives on without them. How'd you guys like that weird video that they did?
It was awkward because it definitely was filmed after the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was just a weird trying to untangle this web that they've created. I don't know how it didn't really quite work for me.
To me, it was very like, all right, we got one take to do this energy. All right, we got to get this done.
That's a great point.
One take and then you gotta go.
That's a great point.
Yeah, it was a weird one to watch.
I just picture him after doing that. He put on his glasses and be like, "Smell you later, losers."
He puts on a jean jacket and then
Regal.
walks out, gets on a hog and just rides away.
Yeah,
like I like that he got a goodbye, but I was like, that was weird. You told me on TV this week that Bryan Danielson's at the hospital still with this guy, and this guy pretty much said, "See you later, bye."
Yeah,
I don't want anything to do with you guys.
The Moxley reaction in the ring kind of spoke for all of us. The fuck,
that was weird.
He was like, "Whatever." Anyways,
yeah, he really moved on, which I guess
gigged.
Yeah, to be fair, I guess he did move on, but that was also like how his character emotionally reacts to the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's like, okay,
for
screw
sure.
that, bottle it up.
killed him 2 weeks ago. But
That's true. PWG announced the 2023 Battle of Los Angeles entrance. Of course, this is their yearly tournament that we can see 6 months later. So the entrants are as follows. We have Michael Oku, Shun Skywalker, Masha Slamovich, Mike Bailey, Commander, Alex Shelley, Jonathan Gresham, Aramis, Titus Alexander, Jordan Grace, Leo Rush, Black Taurus, Latigo, PWG champion Daniel Garcia, Bandito, Konosuke Takeshita, and El Hijo del Vikingo. That is a fantastic lineup that I've ever seen. I think I would love to see a match with any of those wrestlers wrestling each other. And then the multi-mans that will happen on night 2 as well. Oh man, there's gonna be a lot of good action there, I'm thinking.
Takeshita wins.
I could see that, yeah.
I can see
for sure.
That. It's definitely be an AEW person. So and then backtrack from there.
A doubt.
And then backtrack from there. I wonder if they're going to. So this is also, they've been doing women's matches, obviously, in PWG last year, or this year, I should say. I wonder if they will do, because they do this sometimes, like Jordan Grace and Masha Slamovich as like a round 1 match, and then one of them moves on, or if they will separate them and just have 2 separate spots for them to be in, and then I would be interested, especially looking at. But is there anyone there that you're very excited to see as part of this? I mean, we have a couple debuts with Titus Alexander and I believe Latigo as well.
I'm not gonna lie, I just was kind of like, oh, cool. Like when I was looking at until the final entrant of Hijo del Vikingo, when I was like, oh shit, I kind of want to go to this.
Yeah, that is. I want to see if
thinking about him in like a final, or like against Konosuke, or just anybody is just going to be off the charts.
Yeah, that is. Konosuke winning makes sense, but I would love to see. How often do you have Vikingo in PWG?
Yeah, totally.
So maybe him, Konosuke versus Vikingo in the finals.
I could. The only reason that may not happen is because Tony Khan may see it and be like, "I want that on my show."
Good point.
He's done that before.
Yeah.
Remember when Warrior Wrestling booked the Briscoes and Lucha Bros, and he was like, "No.
Yeah,
we're canceling that. That's my match."
That which in my hog catch up that I've been doing this year, one of the matches I was about to watch was a hog match with the Briscoes versus the Lucha Brothers. But it was that point in time this year where Rey Fenix was injured and unable to wrestle the match, and I was thinking to myself, "Oh man, if this match was originally scheduled, I wonder if it would have just got canceled." But I don't know, because it was originally scheduled, and then because of an injury, it didn't happen. So I wonder what changed. Maybe maybe he signed the Briscoes in between.
Yeah,
maybe
that's probably it.
But I'm excited to see this in June. Next up, New Japan announced that they are. New Japan is reported, not announced. New Japan is reported to be bringing in Sasha Banks for Wrestle Kingdom 17, according to Mike Johnson of PW Insider. Dave Meltzer of Wrestling Observer sort of confirmed that the next day, saying that the deal is not through WWE, that she is a free agent. It is for multiple dates, And it is again, she won't be wrestling, but she'll be there. It's for multiple dates of New Japan, apparently. But she is going to New Japan. One of the reasons, apparently, Dave mentioned in Wrestling Observer Radio today, he mentioned that Sasha Banks' WWE contract ends at the end of the year, this year, and that her and WWE are, quote, very far apart on money. So it looks like if it is a money issue, that New Japan, well, it doesn't seem like New Japan would, be able to pony up WWE level money. So maybe there's another funder in the room along with New Japan for Sasha Banks. So I wonder, maybe we'll see her post New Japan in, I don't know, the Los Angeles area in January. Showing up to, of course, none other than PWG's Battle of Los Angeles. That's what I'm referencing. And not the Forum. I don't know, maybe. What do you guys think about Sasha Banks coming to New Japan? Maybe AEW, maybe other places. Sasha Banks, free agent. How do you feel? Scotty, I know this is a day that you've been dreaming of, and it's coming faster than we thought.
If you think I give a shit about if she goes to AEW, I do not care. I do not care. It is boss time in Japan, people. Hold your horses. Get excited. And also, you didn't say it like Dave actually said it. He said Mercedes Monet or Mercedes Renato, whatever the hell she's going by.
Yeah.
It's exciting. It is very exciting because the fun part is that it was plural. It wasn't just Wrestle Kingdom. It's multiple dates that she is going to be in New Japan for. New Japan, I'm just saying, also has a sister company that, maybe that just counts as part of it. But it does feel like, you said the thing about the funding. Sure, she can go to AEW if she wants to. I don't really care about that. My whole thing is, I think for her, this is a dream type thing for her. She's probably not charging them as much as she's charging WWE to bring her back. What she's probably telling WWE is, if you want me back, you can pay up this high. But until then, I'm going to go do what I've been talking about for years of doing.
Yeah.
Dave
does mention that she's a free agent, so WWE could swoop in and give her all that money, much like Bright Lights Carl Anderson, and get that sort of situation happening. But you're right, is that right now it looks like she's going to Japan.
There is a second Wrestle Kingdom date that I think a lot of people have forgotten about. Ooh. I don't actually know what the date is, but it is Yokohama Arena, and there is of course, an IWGP Women's Title match on that Wrestle Kingdom show between Kairi and Tam Nakano. Let's just set the stage already, folks. We're getting Kairi versus Sasha Banks, at least.
Oh, for sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if it is at that Yokohama Arena, which will be January 21st, is what that date is.
Yeah, that's as big as much as it hurts me. That's as big of a women's match as they can book. You're not going to book something bigger than that.
Do you dare put that in the main event?
In Japan.
Do you dare put that in the main event? Kairi versus Sasha Banks? Wrestle Kingdom main eventers?
Why not?
Oh, man.
The question of the day. Jared, how do you feel? Sasha Banks, free agent, already making waves.
I just want a decision of what is going to happen. It's been so much speculating that I'm just kind of like, yeah. The funniest part of Wrestling Observer today, the radio, was Dave trying to pronounce money. It was very on brand, and I was just like, hell yeah, Dave. But I think it's cool. I can just see the segment now. Kairi wins, and then the music plays, and Mercedes, like I watch it with Japanese commentary because I can understand all that stuff.
Can't understand.
And like hearing them, like I can just hear them like freak out over it, and it's gonna be great. But it's also gonna be kind of interesting to see the crowd reaction, because in the beginning, the crowd didn't really like that crossover with Stardom.
On the New Japan
but I think
shows?
they're really
on the New Japan shows.
Yeah, the New Japan shows. But now they're really getting into it. Like that whole like the special one where Filthy Tom was tagging on there with Suri, and everybody. Like it's been really cool, and I think that partnership's been really good for both. I mean, my Booker of the Year is Rossy Ogawa. Like Stardom has been my promotion of the year, and I'm very excited to see her. Remember when the last time Sasha kind of took a break, she went over and trained with Stardom, and that everyone was really speculating then, but yeah, I think I don't really care if she goes to W or AEW or not. I think if she wants to just stay doing Japan shows, I would be totally fine with that. But if she wants to show up to the forum, way cool. I think that would be really great for business and really good for that women's division, and everything like that. I mean, what do you do? Do you belt her right away? Do you take it away from Hater, or like you kind of have to, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be the resident freakazoid here and say I think her in AEW would be huge. I mean, WWE when she was in WWE, she was arguably the number one ratings draw, despite someone saying he's a needle mover. She was the number one's rating draw at the time. And her coming into AEW is not only going to be a huge ratings mover, but also going to be a huge upgrade to the women's division. Another huge upgrade to the women's division. I think you're right. There's the question of belting her up immediately. It looks like if it is the forum show, she might be going through the Britt Baker sort of track at first, the classic track of first time stars. And then, yeah, maybe she goes into the belting up position. You talk about Hater, but then you also talk about Jade. I think Jade is also there. She could be the one that beats Jade. I think
that's what you do, right?
I think that's
that's a really good point.
Yeah, I think that's an easy spot. I think you don't want to. I think in terms of momentum, I think Jamie Hayter has more momentum right now than Jade Cargill. So I think now would be a good time to maybe get off the Jade train and move on to the money train.
The Monet train.
The Monet train.
Look at that. Hire us. No, but then you make her the TV champ. That TBS title is the TV championship every Wednesday, every Friday. I mean, people will tune into that Rampage if she's on those Fridays and watch her. Like, I think that would be.
It's a great point. It's a great point. If she's a ratings mover, putting her on Rampage, someone that, in that press conference that Tony Khan did about the Rampage numbers, or the Ring of Honor press conference they did and had a question about Rampage numbers and saying, oh yeah, we have to look back at what worked. What worked was debuting Punk on Rampage and then having him wrestle on Rampage.
Having seen,
debuting her in the forum, let's say on a Rampage, in a tag match, and then having her wrestle there could consistently make the Rampage numbers better and more, must-see television. So I think that's a solid point about, hey, it worked before with Punk. Maybe we bring in Sasha
I think it would be even more of a ratings move with Sasha because she's even more of a contemporary wrestler. You have, man, those Sasha fans on Twitter are nuts.
Yeah.
They are, no offense, they are, I shouldn't say nuts, they are rabid. So I think you would have a really good, ratings bump for that show that desperately needs.
Plus, I guess not really elephant in the room, but just sort of the just waiting outside in the waiting room. Naomi is also somewhere out there. Presumably, her contract ends in January as
Naomi.
Well. So no news about her. We don't know about any dates that she's gotten for New Japan, but she's out there.
Watch her be the partner for Paige.
That would be fantastic. Though she pops up out of nowhere. I mean, if you're go ahead.
Here's the thing with Sasha. I think we've talked about this for months now, so it's like people may forget what I said once upon a time. But I said she is the biggest free agent you could add left.
Yeah.
Like, she is the one that changes the game for you if you're AEW. Because, and I said that for all four horsewomen, but Sasha was always the top one. Mostly because I never saw Becky leaving. And the other two are not Sasha. So, adding her in any form is a win. Even if she's not full-time. Because there's something with Sasha. I don't know if she's going to be a full-time wrestler if she comes back, because she seems to be doing a lot. A lot that I don't understand. She's modeling, and she's in TV shows, and she's in movies. Maybe, I don't know if she's in movies. That's just, you get the point. She's she's going a little Hollywood, not full Hollywood, but a little Hollywood. But any form of bringing in Sasha Banks is a win. And putting her against your top stars is what you should do. Whether that's Jade, whether it's Jamie, whether it's Tony, whether it's Britt, even though I don't, love that scenario every single time a new person comes in, is a way to go. But she's instantly your megastar, right? Tony Storm was a big ad for that women's division, but she wasn't Sasha Banks.
No.
Saraya was a good ad for that women's division, but she wasn't Sasha Banks. And that's the funny thing. That's why I think Sasha Banks should not be Saraya's tag partner, because if anyone's going to come in and say, actually, I was the revolution, it's Sasha Banks.
Yeah.
It's not Saraya. So it'll be interesting to see, but Ryan, you might want to start finding another co-host. If I get my dream match, I'm retiring from this shit.
You're retiring from wrestling altogether.
I have been very open about it. If she wrestles Mayu Iwatani, I'm done. See ya. I'm hanging up my boots and I'm going away forever. That's my one dream match, and now that it's a possibility, I'm kind of freaking out a little bit.
What if she doesn't wrestle Mayu, but she wrestles Mayu in the movie? She wrestles Mayu in the Mayu biopic.
That'd be weird. The bio would be wrong.
I guess that's right. I guess that's true. Wrestling Observer also announced their new additions to the Hall of Fame for this year. The new additions include the Holy Demon Army tag team of Akira Taue and Toshiaki Kawada, CMLL star Mystico, New Japan stars Kota Ibushi and Tetsuya Naito, the Los Villanos, the group, the family, the Los Villanos groups from Mexico, and Rollerball Mark Rocco, along with promoters Lou Darrow and Johnny Doyle. I noticed that there was a roughly 35% decrease in overall votership this year, which is one of the reasons allowed some people like Mystico, for example, who, despite having the same number of votes year over year, had a higher percentage, which allowed him to get into the Hall of Fame. People close to the 60%.
That's Sin Cara,
right? No, it's not Sin Cara. It is the guy that... It's the guy that replaced Sin Cara when Sin Cara went to WWE. And then when Sin Cara came back, he is still Mystico, but Sin Cara is something else. And then there's Drilistico that's in there, I think. It's the whole thing. So people that were close to the 6% vote this year, able to make into it, were Rocco and Perez, the Los Hermanos Dinamita, and Sergeant Slaughter, all with 57% of the vote. The Briscoes had, not the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, but Jack and Jerry Briscoe with 53% of the vote, and the British Bulldogs and the Steiner Brothers with 52% of the vote. Other notable names were CM Punk with 41, Ishii with 38, Junkyard Dog also with 38, Roman Reigns with 31, Rossi Ogawa with 21%, Shingo Takagi with 21%, and Becky Lynch with 20%. A bunch of people are off the ballot with lacks of votes, like the Rockers, Naomichi Marufuji, New Age Outlaws, and then next year, Jon Moxley and Seth Rollins will be added back onto the ballot, along with the Young Bucks and the Beauty Pair, who will be added to the ballot next year. So a lot of info I just gave to you. Jared, as a Observer Hall of Fame, as an Observer reader, how do you feel about these entrants into the Hall of Fame?
I think they're great. I think... Because there was a big controversy with Naito going in and CM Punk not.
Yeah,
this year.
Twitter hated that. Twitter hated that for some reason.
It was like, guys, we got to take it's not all. One, Naito was in the Japan or the Asia category, and CM Punk was not. Mm-hmm. Two, CM Punk arguably wasn't. How many times has he wrestled in front of 40,000 people, all having these accolades in the ring, outside the ring, and being that much of a merch mover and everything like that. You have Naito consistently doing these things, and Punk being out of it for that long, and the legacy being kind of tarnished recently with all the shenanigans and whatever. And
sure,
everything. I think everything's great. For this year, I thought it was a fairly standard year. Next year will be very interesting with the Young Bucks. I think the Young Bucks are a first ballot Hall of Fame tag team because, you know, they changed the game in so many ways with showing that you could make money outside of WWE. You could, you know, with all the pro wrestling tees, all their merch and everything like that, they're for sure first ballot Hall of Famers. But other people are like, no, fuck their in-ring style. I don't want any part of them. So it's like, I don't know. What do you think? Are there any standout? I think Kota Ibushi's an interesting one.
Why do you say that?
I thought he was more interesting to me than Naito.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead.
Ibushi, first of all, Ibushi wasn't full time with New Japan until like 3 years ago.
When he signed the lifetime contract or whatever it was.
Yeah, that expires at the end of this year. I just found him more interesting because I was like, okay, well, Naito, you know, he's just been the guy or one of the guys in New Japan for so long, so I thought he was a shoo-in. It was Ibushi who I looked at and I said, well, you have to follow Ibushi's whole career, not in just New Japan, to really understand what he's done. And, you know, it's good that he got voted in because he has the accolades. I'm not saying he shouldn't have been. But when people start saying, I can't believe Naito got in and CM Punk didn't, I was like, wait, you're picking Naito?
Yeah.
Like, that's the one you decided to fight with because he wears a T-shirt in tag team matches? Little do you guys know, CM Punk wore T-shirts once in a while in matches too. And don't get me wrong, I do think that CM Punk should get in eventually because of what he's done in both WWE, AEW, and Ring of Honor. But I don't think that should mean Kota Ibushi and Tetsuya Naito should be out by any means.
Yeah.
And I understand that with what happened this year, I'm sure CM Punk lost a couple votes too. But he'll creep in. He just needs to stay up.
It's inevitable for him.
Yeah. And like the rest of the way, I'm happy Becky Lynch isn't gone because there is a lot of historic moments, and you know, she's one of the first to main event WrestleMania, and she's really the first woman that WWE ever got behind as their main star. There's and if you hear Dave give the case for her, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So I'm happy she's still at least in the running. Roman Reigns will get there too, I'm sure. I'm not really worried about him. He doesn't need to get in yet. But the Punk Naito thing, I was just like, you picked Naito and not Ibushi. Like, what is it? Because Ibushi wrestled in WWE for 2 seconds, so you like him better? Like, is that why?
Yeah.
Is it because he's Kenny's friend? Is like this must be the reasons. But yeah, next year is going to be interesting. I think the Young Bucks will get in first ballot, as they should.
Yeah.
But you know, they are very polarizing. So.
Totally.
Young Bucks, multiple time Wrestling Observer Tag Team of the Year. So much so that at a certain point, people started talking about, you know, much like the Lou Thez Award and much like the Ric Flair, people started talking about, should we just rename this the Young Bucks Award? Because they had it like so many years in a row. I think they're shoo-in. I think they're undoubtedly a shoo-in. I'm glad
they'll be the new version of the Okada where Meltzer will be like, if you don't vote for them, I'm gonna fight you.
Yeah, they're the group that's like, they're undoubtedly a shoo-in, like Omega or Okada, which will then cause another round of people being like, well, maybe I don't vote for the Young Bucks and vote for someone else and try to be like strategic with their votes and stuff, because they're such a shoo-in. But yeah, no, I think they're easy shoo-in. I'm glad you brought up the consistency of Naito. Is that I think that's a good point. Whereas CM Punk, in the past year, has definitely been a ratings mover and merch mover, but it's only really been like a year versus Naito, who has had multiple years of main event level draw, merch mover, all those stuff for New Japan. So I think that's a great point to bring up. Yeah, no, still.
He has no clear path to Wrestle Kingdom, but it doesn't matter because he just sells T-shirts and everything like crazy, and people lose their minds for him. They'll never, like, as much as people want to say that Naito shouldn't make because he wrestles tag team matches in a T-shirt, guess what? When he has the big match, few people are better, let alone now, but also in history. He's that good.
Yeah. Kenny Omega did that all the time in New Japan as well.
He did.
He was known for having the frilly the pants that he would use as his not working pants. Yeah, no. And then I also think just wanted to point out also like John Moxley going back on the ballot. I think is interesting. He wasn't voted in years ago. Now he's going back on the ballot. I think that is an interesting one. I don't think I think Seth Rollins has like less of a chance than like Roman Reigns, personally. But I think John Moxley
have less of a chance.
Yeah, I think John
Reigns is the top guy.
He's the needle mover. I think John Moxley is a very interesting conversation, especially with the past year or two, especially this year with the whole Punk debacle that created more of the John Moxley cementing himself as the ace of the company for AEW. I think it is an interesting conversation to be had next year about John Moxley and his potential to be a Hall of Famer. I think he'll certainly have a higher percentage. I don't know if he'll get in, but I think he'll certainly have a higher percentage than he had in the past. So
the Shield's an interesting case.
Yeah, now that they're doing factions and groups and stuff, the Shield is an interesting. Maybe that is the way to get Roman, John, and Seth all in to the Hall of Fame is through the Shield.
Well, if you look at them as a group and what they went on to do, it's like, well, how could they be out? But if you look at them singular, it's like,
that's an interesting conversation. I didn't think about that, but that is interesting. I'm gonna ruminate on that a little bit.
They changed WWE.
Oh yeah, especially the early network years. Yeah, that's an interesting conversation. But yeah, so congratulations to all of those new Hall of Famers. Let's move on. Let's talk about. Let's actually review. Let's talk about some actual wrestling, fellas. Let's talk about Ring of Honor Final Battle. There was.
You were going to say something else, weren't you?
I accidentally wrote on my run sheet "Death Before Dishonor."
Yep, knew it.
You know me too well, Scotty. So let's talk about it. I think the biggest news coming out of Final Battle, first off, is the television news, which is sort of maybe a disappointment for some, but a win for others maybe. But it was announced, kind of. It will be a more formal announcement, but. I guess actually the formal announcement did come in. But Tony Khan is announcing the relaunch of Ring of Honor's Honor Club platform. This is the content provider, the streaming service that has been around for Ring of Honor for several years now. But they relaunched it. They relaunched around the website. When we were looking at the website, I remember last week on the episode, Scotty, that I was talking about, I was like, oh, Honor Club's here, and it looks revamped and stuff. And so they've been sitting on it for like a week now, but they're redoing it. Along with that is the television show for Ring of Honor is going to be on Honor Club, $9.99 platform streaming service. It will be on there. We don't know exactly in terms of scheduling. It'll probably be sort of like a dark thing where they do the episode after or before something. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be a separate thing there, but
I'm guessing it's like a Universal type taping.
It could be that. That's not a bad idea.
What day of the week would you guys want a Ring of Honor show on?
I don't know. I mean, that was a conversation to be had, but like, now that it's on Honor Club, I don't care. You know, it's not like, you know, if it's on a streaming platform, that's one thing, but it's not like you're going to get like the day of, you know, you need those viewers in the moment to be watching live stuff. It's a streaming service. You're getting the money no matter what. It's a flat fee. Honestly, it does not matter. Tony Khan did say that maybe that there's hope to move it off of Honor Club eventually and maybe get Warner Media back in, but you know it not happening right now. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really care. I you know if it's like a Monday, then cool. It used to be on Mondays, I think, or Saturdays or something.
I really liked it on Saturday afternoon. I really liked watching this pay-per-view yesterday.
Oh yeah, and the 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock. Spot?
Well, it was 1 p.m. for me. It was a little early, but like that 4 to 6 area, I think like a Saturday show would be really cool in there. But
yeah,
it's not 10 p.m. on a Friday, which is nice.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, and I guess that's the good thing about Honor Club, right? Is that the fact that it's not on live television means that conversation of when would we have it? Would it be post SmackDown or post Rampage? Would it be post Dynamite?
Rampage would be bad.
Post Rampage would be awful. That's like 11 o'clock at night. That would be awful. Would it be like in the afternoon on a Saturday?
Thursday.
It's a tough spot. It's a tough spot to try to figure that out with trying to avoid football and other wrestling and your own Warner Media Discovery stuff that you need. But yeah, Scotty, how do you feel about more of obviously now more of the separation between church and state of AEW and Ring of Honor, and Ring of Honor going on its own platform for Honor Club?
I don't love it. I think the problem here is that you're charging $9.99 for TV, essentially, right? You're not charging because if there are pay-per-views on here, you get a lot more subs, but they're 90 days after. It's not even like it's a week or a couple weeks. No, it is 90 days after. So I almost think they should have done a fight type deal, like their AEW Plus thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know, I can't see a lot of people paying $10 a month for Ring of Honor TV.
Would you counter? I have a question. Would you pay more to have maybe the pay-per-views either included or at a sooner thing? So like $19.99 a month with your pay-per-views included for the month or whatever?
Probably, because pay-per-views are expensive.
Yeah, pay-per-view, they're expensive. So
they're not gonna. Well, here's also the game you kind of got to play, right? It's because they do quarterly pay-per-views. That's what it looks like Ring of Honor will be doing. So you're gonna have to find a perfect medium. Now, if you have like what Impact does with the specials, so say you have like was this the 20th anniversary this year?
Yeah, for Ring of Honor?
Next year's
I believe so.
Yeah, say they do like the 21st anniversary show is a Honor Club exclusive live. Then you start to, I think, interest people a little bit more. But they're going to be paying for content that's likely not live at all.
Yeah.
And that's tough. That's a tough sell because all these shows, if they're taped, guess what? We're going to know what happened. Yeah. So, like, that was the thing with the WWE Network. This is where I'm taking from, right? NXT was just a great add-on back then because they were taped. Yeah. But it was still new content that also came with pay-per-views and the library. This comes with the library, but there's no live aspect of it. You need something live to make people want to join it.
That's a good point.
Plus, it's the same dollar amount that the network was, and the network
arguably
had a lot more.
I found funny, so it was easy to compare.
Yeah, they had a lot of back content, and plus live pay-per-views.
Yeah, you had NXT specials, you had all the WWE pay-per-views. But I get why you would keep them on pay-per-view with Warner Brother because you're gonna make more money that way. But I can't see Honor Club succeeding that much.
Yeah, I think it's definitely like a disappointment announcement coming from Tony Khan. I think it's definitely like a disappointment of like, oh, we didn't get Warner Media, but Honor Club, I guess, is what we're doing. And I wonder if instead of holding out to maybe in January we'll be able to get that, and maybe in the upfronts will be announced that or something. I wonder if this decision from Tony Khan is a little bit of a reaction to people upset about Ring of Honor being on AEW television and saying, okay, let's just separate it for the meantime and then come back to it whenever, assuming we get some sort of television deal with Warner Media.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. Hopefully they find a deal somewhere. Maybe this is their attempt to, all right, let's make some TV to sell, right? Because selling a product where you don't have a roster carved out, or like, that's why AEW was able to sell a product. They had a roster carved out. They had the Elite, they had Jericho. That's really all you needed. This roster, it's like, okay, we got the champions. That's it.
Are we looking at the roster page again? Is this another roster page?
Oh, they lost 2 roster members, remember? Because it was the Briscoes.
Yeah. So last week we dove deep, Jared, into the Ring of Honor roster page. Whoa, there's actually more people on here. There's actually more people on here. Yeah, they added more people. What makes sense? we have Athena on here now. We got Brian Cage.
They added all the champions.
They got Mercedes was already on
and
there.
And they didn't get rid of the former champions.
They added Toa Leona. They added Khan, Wheeler Yuta.
Champion.
Yeah. But all the old champions are still on here, actually.
Yeah, so that's neat.
Jericho's still on here. FTR is still on here. Daniel Garcia is still on here.
Off there so soon.
Yeah, Mercedes and Samoa's the champion. Mercedes is still on here. So yeah, no, it's interesting. The roster page slowly becoming more and more. Maybe we'll move Jericho to the alumni section, the amazing alumni section that is the Ring of Honor roster page. Yeah, no, I think it is a little bit of a disappointment for Tony Khan's end. But I am probably still gonna watch it. I do like Ring of Honor. I really watch it. Yeah, I really liked Final Battle a lot. I had the realization during it that, and I don't know if you guys felt the same, but to me, it kind of had like a feeling of like early AEW shows for me, like the sort of those pay-per-view shows, small little pay-per-view shows that he did. It kind of had that feel for me of just like, the crowd being sort of behind everything, even if it wasn't too good, the crowd was behind it. A very welcoming crowd in that sense. The action being there, some great stuff on the main event level. I felt really into the show. I really like Ring of Honor as a brand a lot. What did you guys think of the overall Final Battle show, Jared?
I enjoyed it. It was definitely worth my money. That's kind of how I approach most of these now that we're paying for. I'm not just getting them on the network. I really, really enjoyed it. I didn't really know kind of what to expect. But I had a really good time. I got a pizza, had had some soda, watched some pro wrestling on Saturday.
Yeah.
But yeah, everything. I don't think there was like a terrible match at all. Anywhere close to a bad match. Even the 0 hour, I had a lot of fun during that 0 hour.
Yeah.
And there's something to be said about a real tight. What was this, like a 3 hour? Was it like 3 hours? Was it 3 or 4 hours?
I think it was 3 hours.
There's something to be said about a real
itself was 3.
Okay.
Yeah,
so 4
like
hours.
A real tight 3 hour pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
I am all for that. Versus like sometimes these AEW shows can get a little long in the tooth.
Yeah.
And I can only imagine for you guys on the East Coast that it's just getting to be like 11, 12 at night. And you're just like, guys, what are we doing here?
Oh, yeah. For our Scotty and I have talked about this several times for our post AEW pay-per-view Patreon content. Recording at midnight, recording at 1 in the morning.
That's rough.
Yeah.
And, get in, get out, do your thing. And I think that I will be much more willing to watch that than, some of these like long, like even Wrestle Kingdom. Like so I always take the day off of work when I'm a teacher. Luckily we have winter break during Wrestle Kingdom this year, but I always took Wrestle Kingdom off to watch. That show gets real rough when it's like, oh gosh, another Bullet Club tag team at 3:30 in the morning. You're just like, I just want to see
the double nights were tough.
Yeah,
the double nights were tough.
Yeah,
I just want to see the main event, please.
Yeah.
House of Torture, the word. anyway,
tortured you, if you will.
I mean, of course, the what were some standouts to you? I mean, the other dog collar match was.
Well, let's go through it. Let's start with the main event because that was the main event. Claudio Castagnoli defeated Chris Jericho for the Ring of Honor.
Dog collar match for last.
Yeah, we'll save that for last. That icing on top.
Yeah.
Claudio Castagnoli defeated Chris Jericho for the Ring of Honor World Title. He's not joining JAS. He is not going to become part of the Hat Trick. A group of two people. You would think a Hat Trick would need a third person, but that's fine. But he's not joining the Hat Trick. Claudio is the new world title holder for Ring of Honor, and a very interesting finish that I think was a little controversial on the internet as well. Scotty, what did you think of this match, and what did you think of the finish with Jericho tapping out of the giant swing?
It's a very good match. The only problem is I've seen it before.
Mm.
I'm just so like, especially after the dog collar match, I was just kind of sitting there and I was like, this show should really be ending right now.
Yeah, I got you.
And I felt bad for everyone that had to follow it. My poor guy Juice always has to be in the tough spots on these shows.
Yeah.
But it was a good match. That's the thing. Like, it was a good main event. The crowd was into it. I got into it, but I didn't care who won. And I think that was the problem. Like, I wasn't invested enough to care who walked out as winner because I've been watching this feud for 8 months. And to me, it's like, all right, this needs to be the end, which it is. Thank God. But at the same time, especially now in retrospect that they didn't get a TV deal with Jericho as champion,
Yeah.
it almost is like, all right, what was all that for? Jericho had a great run as champion. But I watched Claudio win this title at the last 2 Ring of Honor pay-per-views. Give him a run. Let's get to Ring of Honor TV. Like, this title, more than any of the other titles in Ring of Honor, I feel like has needed TV, if that makes sense. Because with me, the other titles, you can do certain things without it. But the world title that's your title. You need to focus on it. The tag titles benefited from just an all-time feud. The women's title, I mean, Mercedes got hurt, so it's nothing to blame there, but Athena was doing work to build that up. Samoa Joe's just, double champion, so that's fine. Trios belts are trios belts, who cares? And that it? Is that all the titles? I think I got
so.
them all.
I think maybe.
But I think the world title needs a story, and I just never cared enough about the story between these two anymore because, like I've said, I've seen these two wrestle 3 different times now in title matches. I know the Fatal 4-Way was different, but it is what it is. And I liked the finish. I thought the finish was very smart, very cool, because it's like, yeah, obviously I don't want to get spun anymore. I'm going to tap out. I thought it was a very creative, very cool finish. Everyone that got mad about it, whatever. People like to get mad.
Yeah. Jared, what do you think of the match?
Hot take. I think the big swing is overrated and overdone.
Well, I agree to that too, though.
Yeah. No,
because it's not as big a pop for me as it once was.
Yeah, it's like when you do that every match. I think tapping out to it was unique. I think that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But
that's totally a Jericho idea, by the way.
Oh.
Well, 100%. I can see Jericho being like, "What if I tap out of it?" And they're like, "How? How would he tap out of it?" He's like, "Well, I'll try to hit my hand on the ground every once in a while."
But yeah, I Scott hit the nail on the head. Like, the story was just kind of there for me. I had run out of energy since the dog collar match. And yeah, poor Joe and Juice. Like, they had to follow that. I understand why you have to have the world championship at last, because you want to do the celebration and everything like that. But damn, that dog collar match really stole that thunder.
Yeah. In hindsight,
it's the same thing that the first Briscoes FTR match did.
That's correct. I remember that because that match was like 3rd to last or 2nd to last or something like that. It was somewhere late middle of the show as well.
Yeah.
In hindsight, if it's not the main event, I would have almost been like, just make it the first match. But maybe knowing that it's going to be a 5-star match for several people, maybe
it was the 4th to final match. So
yeah.
By the way, so there you go.
Yeah, it's maybe in hindsight you maybe put it higher up the card, maybe so that people can come back around later. But I totally get that idea of like you start falling a little bit because it was too high of a high. You hit your peak, you hit your climax too quickly, and then it suffered like the Ring of Honor World TV title match of Samoa Joe and Juice Robinson. I thought this match was good. I thought this match was well worked. But I get what you're saying, that coming off the high that is the Briscoes match, you're like, all right, Juice is not winning, Samoa Joe is winning. We know how this is. King of television, yada, yada, yada. We're moving on.
Yeah, that was the problem. Juice just never had a shot. Had Juice had a shot, because we saw a flash of babyface Juice in this match. That was really good. It's just like, okay, well, he has no shot because, like, unless Wardlow walks down here and distracts Joe, Juice isn't winning. And I figured that wasn't going to happen because it wasn't Tony Khan's AEW show. So they weren't going to probably have Wardlow on this one. But it was a good, serviceable match. It wasn't offensive, and the crowd was into it, which was actually shocking to see, because I thought they, much like myself, could be like, all right, whatever, move on.
Do you think this match would have had more oomph behind it if it was Joe versus Wardlow?
No, but that's because I'm out on Wardlow. So.
There we go. Scotty, what do you think? I mean, Jerry, what do you think?
Yeah, man, they worked hard. I think the match would have been way better with 5 minutes cut off of it. Yeah. By the end of it, I was just going like, "Oh, this is still going."
13 minutes.
Started off the show.
Yeah, if it started off the show, I think it would have been killer.
Yeah.
With that, I mean, we'll get to it, but that tag match was weird.
Yeah.
Especially that.
No, that was that family.
Yeah. But yeah, I think if it started off the show, it would have been a heater. Like, I think it would have been real cool. Get everybody going. Everybody would have been up for it.
It was a weird spot.
It was just the death spot. Whatever
this
you
felt
put
like
there.
A perfect spot for the trios match.
Yeah, I think so. Because everybody, I personally, I love Dalton Castle. I think
people would have got in there.
Yeah, and him and the boys would have carried that. And even if they didn't, I think they would have popped for the spots that were good, and then just kind of been quiet for the rest, and then gotten back up for the final. And I think the match ordering, really hurt this match.
I agree that, like, if you had the 6-man in here, Dalton Castle and the boys, maybe it would have been tough to begin with, but I think they would have, with enough of their hijinks, gotten to the point with their hijinks, and then like the crazy athleticism of the Gates of Agony and Brian Cage. I think would have eventually got the audience into a bigger spot, which also would have helped the main event. So maybe that would have been a better idea.
The crowd was still into it. It's just it would have been even more into it had it been at any other spot on the show.
That's fair. We'll skip the dog collar match for right now. We'll circle back.
Go to the top now.
Go to the top? Tippy top?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
AR Fox, Blake Christian versus Drilistico and Rooch.
Hey now. You're skipping 0 Hour.
Oh my, you want to go tippy top. You want to go tip top with 0
Hour. Had a great match.
All right, let's talk 0 Hour then.
Great matches.
Jeff Cobb versus Mascara Dorado. Mascara? That's not
Dorada.
Yeah, Mascara doesn't sound right.
Grand Metalik.
Grand Metalik. I thought this match was a lot of fun. I was watching this on my phone at the time, and when Dorada did the I forget what the Tope Con Hello, I think it's called, where he's doing the running and then doing the like dive swanton over the top rope, but then mid-air turns a bunch of times in mid-air.
Yeah, and then
I don't think I've seen that live, or not even in a match, and I was dumbfounded. I literally exclaimed out loud. I was like, "Holy crap!" And Jesse was like, "What's wrong?" I was like, "You gotta see this. You gotta see this wrestling move." It was insane just to see that sort of level of body control. But it really popped off big for that, and I really enjoyed this match. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I completely agree. I love watching Jeff Cobb throw dudes around. He's like my most fun power move dude.
Yeah.
The few times I saw him in PWG teaming with Matt Riddle were so fun, just because both of those guys can do it. But seeing live in person, Jeff Cobb just throw a guy up in the air and then catch him, and then it's the most fun you can have watching wrestling. The Styles Clash was really good. I think they hit their spots. They did a real good job. And Masquerade Dorada, or Grand Metalik, whatever, he walks those ropes effortlessly. He didn't do too much here, but when he has a longer match and does his rope walking spots, they're amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree. Let's move on to the next match, which was the Jericho Appreciation Society, Angelo Parker and Matt Menard, as they announced, though, as Cool Hand and Daddy Magic on their little graphic there, versus the Shinobi Shadow Squad, Cheeseburger and Eli Isom. Scotty, I know you and I like Eli Isom a lot. I think he has a lot of potential. But how do you think he did here against Parker and Menard?
This was the worst match on the entire show.
Dang. So not good. So you like?
Yeah. Well, no, I thought they did fine. It was just a match, though. That's the problem. Like, I didn't care.
Sure.
At all.
It was a match to be
wasn't
had.
Their fault, right? It was the Colt Cabana match from last show that they had at Death Before Dishonor.
Mm-hmm.
Just on there to take up some time.
It definitely felt like a match to build to the top flight interaction later in the show, which maybe that's like establishing the tag division for Ring of Honor. I don't know. What did you think, Jared?
I think I am on a record as saying that 2.0 are two of the best signings that Tony Khan ever did. Because I'm a weirdo and love them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely was the worst match of the night because it was just kind of a regular tag match. They kind of got lost there in a little bit in the middle. But man, whenever Daddy Magic talks, it's just the funniest, crazy coked out wrestler from the 80s that you could ever get. And Cool Hand Ange out there looking like he's trying to cosplay Mal from Firefly. Yeah, it was not great, but I will always watch those two guys and just laugh. So I had a okay time.
Yeah. Next match here was Willow Nightingale versus Trish Adora, with Willow getting the win here. Love seeing Trish Adora pop up on these shows. I think she's a good signing if she is signed. Jared, you're sporting some hand signs there. How did you feel about
this? Hell yeah.
match?
I love Willow Nightingale. You strap a rocket to her. Okay, first off, if Mercedes Moné is coming in, she needs the title. She needs to be the bad guy heel that Willow Nightingale goes against. Ooh. It would be money because we saw
Monet.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it would be Monet. Sorry. But we saw in NXT that Bayley run when she was going against Sasha. Those two worked a legit heel babyface program that I think Will Nightingale has that magnetism that when you watch her, you're instantly smiling, from her intro music to the moves she does in the ring to everything. It's incredible that you have this kind of person that you can throw up against like this awful dastardly heel. And I think if Sasha's coming in, you belt her, you make her like this despicable heel persona, and you have it'd be perfect. I don't know, that's just me.
It's not a bad pitch. Not a bad pitch. It's gonna be tough booing Sasha at first, but I think eventually,
for sure,
that's the idea. And 2 years down the line, maybe you got Willow v Mercedes in there. Scotty, did you have any thoughts about this match?
That was really solid. I mean, I'm with you. Like, I think Willow should be the one to beat Jade. I'm very confident with that. Sasha makes sense in a lot of ways, but Sasha's also bigger than any title, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Totally.
She doesn't necessarily need to win it. You have someone beat Jade, that's the biggest win of their career, unless it's Sasha Banks or Britt Baker or Toni Storm. So I think Willow's definitely the one to go with, and the fans love her, so why not? And Trish Adora looked good too.
That is a good point. If you want to have someone beat Jade, maybe the idea is to, Sasha beating Jade would be like, all right, but someone beating Jade would put them on the map. So maybe that is a good point of having it be someone else, not like Sasha, but more of like a Willow type. Or maybe Chris Statlander whenever she comes back. The quote-unquote main event of 0 Hour was Dante Martin, Darius Martin against Taven and Mike Bennett. I thought this match was a lot of fun. There were some hiccups here and there with Top Flight with Dante having a little hiccup on a high spot, and then the finish being a little wonky, but they eventually got to it and it looked great. What did you guys? I know, Scotty. I'm guessing you really like this match a lot.
It's my second favorite match of the show.
Ooh, hot damn!
I thought it was great. I thought the Kingdom shut up a lot of people who said, why is AEW signing the Kingdom? Why are you signing the Kingdom? Listen. If you only know Matt Taven from his world title run, then I understand your complaints, okay? I get it. But Matt Taven and Mike Bennett are a very good tag team. Me and Ryan have sung the praises of their match with the Briscoes from last year at Final Battle.
Yeah, it was my. I nominated that as my match of the year for the Count Out Year End Awards, which are coming up.
Yes, you did. And they gave Top Flight the best match of their young careers as a team, in my opinion, at least. I thought this was better than the FTR one they just had a few weeks back. I thought, they had the slip up at the end where Dante, didn't fully hit the rope, but I mean, he just came crashing down on them, thankfully, because he doesn't go for a flip or anything usually on that. He literally just does the stand-up thing. So it's okay. But the action was exciting. The Kingdom proved that they deserve to be respected, and Top Flight got a huge win. I think both these teams should be a lock for the Ring of Honor tag team conversation moving forward.
Yeah, I agree. I think bringing the Kingdom in are a good group. I think they're weirdly underrated, the Kingdom. And I think that's mostly because people see Taven and they think of the Madison Square Garden show of Taven winning the title. Which, in some ways I don't blame them, but I think the Kingdom as a group, as a tag duo, are a fantastic team. And I would love to see more of them. And I hope that I think Top Flight is an interesting group if they join Ring of Honor. Matt Menard and Angelo Parker, I think, is also an interesting group. We'll see it eventually if they update the roster page some more of non-champions. But I think it's a fascinating idea to have all those people in the roster page. And this match was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Jared, what did you think of the match?
Yeah, it was very solid. It did its job, I think, of establishing these two teams for the tag division. I think Top Flight is going to have a lot better opportunities in the Ring of Honor tag division and have some really good matches. Count me as one of the person who only really knew Matt Taven from his world title run. So he's absolutely pleasantly surprised me tagging with Mike Bennett. And it's it's good. It's good that Maria and Mike are getting work and seems to have Tony Khan's ear on the women's division. I'm interested to see what that's going to bring out too.
Totally agree. Let's talk about Final Battle proper. Starting off the show was that tag match, AR Fox and Blake Christian versus Dralistico and Roosh. Jared, you talk about how this match was a little wonky, and yeah, I totally agree, especially the finish there. What did you think of this match?
I mean, yeah, the only thing to talk, AR Fox is great. Everybody in the match is a good worker, yada. But that finish, is AR Fox okay? Like they belted that dude with a chair.
Yeah.
Like really hard in the end. Like Dralistico's gonna Dralistico, or that family's gonna that family, and try to get their heat back. Do we know whether it was like a botch by the ref or like was that the finish, or regardless, it was like very uncomfortable at the end to where everybody online was going, what's going on?
Yeah, no one really asked that question in the presser. So we don't really know what the plan there was or what was supposed to happen, but it was the beatdown definitely got their heat back. Definitely got their heat back in that beatdown.
I'll say.
Holy crap. I do agree that it was like I thought it was like a fine match. I think Dralistico was a little awkward in the match. I think Dragon Lee and Roosh were a better duo in a way with Andrade than Dralistico and Roosh. But it was fine, I guess. I did like the idea that like, okay, we're having sort of AAA and CMLL groupage in here with Dorada and I guess kind of Roosh, not really Roosh anymore. And then Drillistico and AAA. I thought that was interesting. But yeah, no, this match didn't quite work, but it ultimately got a little wonky there. Scotty, did you have any thoughts on the match?
No, I barely remember it, truthfully, besides the finish.
Perfect. Yeah. Next match was a Ring of Honor Women's World Title match, and it was Athena who defeated Mercedes Martinez. Big pop for the hometown crowd. Her mother was in the audience, her father there in the audience as well. I thought this match, I thought this match for me was also a little wonky. It's the how do I say this? It was I felt it was better than the Athena Jade match, but it had a similar vibe to the Athena Jade match. If you catch my drift. I don't know.
Yeah.
Jared, what do you think?
I'm glad that Athena got it. I think that was the right winner. Mercedes Martinez is not great in my mind. Like, she's neither here nor there for me, mostly kind of negative. I don't really want to talk bad, but I all of her matches to me have been super sloppy. I'm glad Athena got in there. But can we talk about how Athena probably needs to change that finisher soon? Because she's not going to be able to walk in about 10 years.
No. Matt Hardy should be in her ear and be like, hey, yeah. don't do that.
Stop doing essentially a top rope stunner.
Yeah.
And landing on your friggin' hips every night. And, you see Matt Hardy walking. Hulk Hogan can't even walk, and he just did a regular leg drop every night. And it I always just kind of cringe when I see her. I just feel like she someone needs to be like, hey, pump the brakes a little bit or whatever. But I think it was fine.
I would have liked to see, and I think it was a weird detriment because of the hometown crowd. I would have liked to see more of the healing from Athena in this match. But I think because it was a hometown crowd, they sort of forwent that, I guess, instead of forwent the past tense. I feel like they sort of forwent that just to get, just so that we know, okay, she's going to be the face. We kind of have to tone that down a little bit. But I really, because I've liked the healing from Athena. I wish there was maybe more of it in this match. Scotty, did you have any thoughts?
Happy Athena won, because I'm kind of with you guys on the fact that Mercedes hasn't really been great this year. Yeah. And Athena's deserving of the title, I think. And on the when it comes to the finish or the eclipse or whatever she calls it now, it should be like her super finisher. Like, just you just pull it out when you really need it, but she doesn't need to do it in like every single match where she's beating someone like not in a title match.
Yeah.
Like, it should be her title match type finisher. That's what a lot of other wrestlers have these days. That secondary finisher, especially if it's high risk like that, so that you don't have to take a toll on your body. I think that'd be good for her. So I'm right there with you guys. And the match was fine. It wasn't anything super special, but I thought Athena kept it together.
Yeah, I think especially if she's going heel mode, maybe the idea of changing up the finisher to be more brutal, maybe that's the idea. Tag team match here, Swerve and Glory, Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland versus Shane Taylor Promotions, JD Griffey and Shane Taylor. Boy howdy, everyone cried at home on Twitter about how Shane Taylor was presented on AEW television and then brought on stage. But boy howdy, was the crowd behind Shane Taylor for this one. Obviously, great entrance, great music from Shane Taylor, and they were super into Shane Taylor throughout the match. Obviously, he has a little bit of a Texas. I don't know if he's from Texas specifically, but he's from Ohio. But he has wrestled a lot in Texas. But the crowd was super behind him. They were super behind the Keith Lee Shane Taylor story. They were super into it. I thought that Shane and JD Griffey. I thought JD Griffey to me stuck out like a sore thumb a little bit in this match. And I think that Shane Strickland did a good job. Then sold the I'm leaving And then Keith Lee ultimately getting the win still. But yeah, no, I thought this match was good. I thought this match, the crowd was really into it. I just would have liked it if, maybe instead of JD Griffey, maybe we put in like an O'Shea Edwards type. I would have liked maybe to see that more. Or maybe we bring in Moses. Remember Moses? Maybe we can't bring in Moses because of Khan, but I don't know. I don't know. Scotty, what did you think of this match between Swerve and Our Glory and JD Griffey and Shane Taylor?
It was better than I probably ever expected it to be because I
Pretty good.
didn't know who JD Griffey was, and when I saw him show up, I was like, oh, all right. Because someone had a great tweet. They said, nothing I love more than a guy that dresses up like an MMA fighter and is not good at that style.
Yeah.
I mean, the energy that carried this match a lot, I think, but like the Taylor and Keith Lee stuff was great. Swerve's outstanding, obviously. I mean, I talk about his work every week that I can that he's on here, but dude's so good, right? He's so good. He's a special guy, and him walking away, good way to continue the story. And it's even better to continue the story by having Keith Lee win, unlike when Keith Lee walked away and Swerve lost. Kind of makes Swerve start thinking like, yeah, maybe I'm the weak link because we still won. I think it's a good way to play up the story, and I'm interested in this story. You have a big match set for Revolution down the line because they're going to keep playing it, I'm sure, until then.
That's true. I didn't think about that aspect of when I walked away, you lost, but when you walked away, I won. Not just like Shane thinking he's the weakest link, but Keith Lee thinking, yeah, maybe I don't need Swerve. Screw this guy. I can still win the match. Yeah, that's right. A good thought. That's a good story point thought. Jared, what do you think of this?
I want the Lee and Swerve feud to kind of just come to a culmination. I don't want to have to wait till Revolution for it to happen. I want them to have their match and be done. Mm-hmm. I think Swerve is too good to kind of be. They're both too good to have this feud keep going. I want to see Swerve either in the title picture or in one of the title pictures for the All Atlantic or something. Because, like, Scott and you have said, he is so good.
Yeah.
Swerve is unbelievable. Bring back Rick Ross. Give Rick Ross, free reign to be his manager. No, but
if I was Tony Khan, I love bringing in Mercedes. Maybe you bring in Ibushi in the new year too. You got to bring in Rick Ross. You got to keep him there.
That whole accusation, whole little thing, it was amazing.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think Keith Lee is another one that could be is a phenomenal singles athlete, and I don't know, have him go after the TNT in there, have the TNT title be the big boys title. Yeah. Do something like that. I think while they were great as a tag team, and I like this story, I think it's getting a little long on the tooth that's just for me, but I wouldn't mind them blowing it off at having a really good pay-per-view match.
What if they never have the match and Tony Khan separates them onto two different rosters?
Totally fine. Yeah, I'm totally fine with that, because then this would have been like, okay, Lee, I could do it by myself, and Swerve was like, screw you, I don't need you. Yeah. Boom, done.
Going to ROH.
Yeah. I wouldn't want one of them to be on ROH because I think they're both too good for that. I don't know. In my mind, ROH would, because there's no one really in my who's there that's on their level. I don't think really anybody. Even Claudio is. Either one would be a better champion, I think, than Claudio, but that's just me.
I wouldn't put him on it. I wouldn't put him on ROH either. I think you can have them dip their toe in there once in a while, but they should be AEW town, especially Swerve. I think he's proven that. And I think he's well on his way. Yeah, I only say Revolution because this is Tony Khan. Come on, guys. We know he's stretching this out. This is what he does. He stretches everything out. But it would be a good match to put on that New Year's Smash show, maybe. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's a little soon, but
yeah.
You have that. You have and of belts, so you can't do Battle of the Belts. But I would probably.
I was gonna say Forbidden Door. Maybe we'll put them on 2 different rosters and then do it at Forbidden Door down the line.
Oh yeah, we'll really stretch it out. We'll do Ring of Honor AEW Forbidden Door.
Yeah, I don't
It'll
know.
just be called Open Door because they just go back and forth.
Or they'll change Forbidden Door to War of the Worlds. Remember that old brand name?
Oh, I love that. I love those shows.
We'll do that. 6-man tag team titles were on the line between Embassy and Dalton Castle and the Boys. It was the Embassy, Brian Cage, Toa Leona, and Bishop Khan that end up getting the win here. We sort of talked about a little bit that this was a little fun match here, a little high-paced action and athletic shenanigans all abound in this match here. But I really like this match. I think I like this more than Cage Match people did. They get 5.8 out of 10, so I think that's real low that I think. But what do you guys think of this match?
5.8, that is low.
Yeah,
that's a solid 7 for me. Slot this anywhere on the card, and I think it would be good, and preferably before the main event, like we talked about.
I think it was just kind of the problem with this match for me was like, all right, let's just come on. I know who's winning here.
Yeah, totally.
Like that was probably the only problem. I think Dalton Castle obviously did great in his role. I think the boys did great. I think everyone did great. It's just the problem that you have when it's these two teams is like, well, we know the plan is to put this belt on the Embassy. Like
sure.
that has been the direction since they put these guys together. Obviously, it hasn't been the prettiest road to get here, but this has been the path for them all along. So it's good to get them titled up. Castle should be a key part of Ring of Honor moving forward. But I'd keep featuring them on AEW from time to time until then.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. Ring of Honor Pure title, Wheeler Yuta defeated Daniel Garcia to win that title back. The final battle in their feud as well. That sort of JAS Blackpool Combat Club feud. I thought this was really good. I thought this was better than I think it was the last match, which was the Dynamite main event, where Garcia won the title. I thought this match was a little bit better than that.
Why did he won the title at Death Before Dishonor?
I don't remember. I feel like I remember because wasn't that Daniel Garcia win in Buffalo? I vaguely remember. I think he went Buffalo, and then the stream was going down.
You're right. What was it? Death Before Dishonor? They did wrestle each other.
Maybe that was the first match in their feud. I believe that might have been their first match.
I don't know
because the first Ring of Honor show was Wheeler Yuta winning the title against Josh Woods in a stinker, in my opinion. But this match I thought was a lot better. I really like this match. I liked. There may be some cheese borders that hate the pure division, that despise it and say this isn't wrestling. But I've been a person that has gotten into it. I think when you have people that truly understand the pure rules, it's a very fun match. And I think Yuta and Garcia do understand the pure rules. I think the idea of immediately using their closed fists was a fun little trope there. And then Daniel Garcia forcing Yuta to use rope breaks by like doing submission holds to him and stuff while he's on the ropes, I think is a fun little spot, and forcing him into the position of being the underdog. I think ultimately using the rules as a way of storytelling and being that underdog is a fun way. I always love the pure rules when it's worked like that. And so I really like this match. I really like this match a lot. What do you guys think?
It was my favorite match of the night.
Of the night?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of the night.
Really?
Because 3 things.
Number one.
3 things. Number one, they presented the pure rules how they should be. There was a counter on screen. Mm-hmm. There were the 3 rope breaks or whatever that they had on the bottom, and it was and I think every pure rules match before that they've had on AEW TV or whatever has not had that, and it makes the rules accessible for everybody who doesn't know them, so then they're into it.
Yeah.
Like how many times everyone's just going like, wait, what the fuck is a pure rules match? And then they have all those rules and you got to be like, okay, well, what the fuck? We don't have Howard Finkel out here telling us about the Royal Rumble rules or the pure rules.
Yeah.
But when you have that kind of stuff on there, it's accessible to everybody. Everybody gets into it. And then at least they have an understanding of boom, something happened, boom, that light went out. Okay, I can correlate that. And it's not just random timers and whatever on the screen.
We'll get to random timers on the screen shortly.
Yeah. Second thing is the story that they were telling. It only became my favorite match of the night after I listened to Observer Radio, and that the story was they were coming up on the time limit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the announcers didn't say any of that. And I was like, oh, whoa. Like, to me, while it was a great match, realizing that Yuta was like pulling out all the stops at the end to end him, made it even better. And 3 is the one that you said, immediately use their closed fists, and then Garcia forcing him to do those rope breaks was such a smart kind of innovative thing that I hadn't seen before. That I really, really enjoyed. Also, a bonus is that Daniel Garcia is such a good dirtbag. He's just such a gross dirtbag that you're like, oh, like I hate him, but I love him, you know?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And you're right, because if I'm not mistaken, the Pure Rules are a 50-minute time limit.
Yeah.
This match was 14 minutes and 52 seconds. It was right there at the drop. So yeah, no, I totally agree with what you're saying, that they utilize the rules well. And, you know, if you don't understand the rules, you don't like the rules, I get it. But
totally.
When you understand the rules, it creates a new level of appreciation for wrestling style. Scotty, did you have any thoughts about this match between Yuta and Garcia?
My dislike for Pure Rules has grown over this past year. We know this, right? Because of Josh Woods and his boring matches. However, this was one of the better ones because they, like you guys said, they played the rules up, right? They used the rules, but they didn't make them hurt the match. And I think that's a lot of what I've seen with Pure Rules matches. Like, no offense to Jonathan Gresham, but like that's
oh my god, all the offense to Jonathan Gresham. Can I say that? That's because I'll take the heat on that because I'm the guest. All the offense towards Jonathan Gresham.
His matches always suffered because they made it all about the rules. The rules are there to help a match in some ways or enhance a match. Though when it was his matches, they just brought it down because that's the only focus. And it's just grappling and grappling. No, they played to the rules. They had a professional wrestling match that just happened in a Pure Rules match. That's what they did.
And they had the rules. They had the rules guide the story.
Yes. What a simple idea rather than I enjoyed this match very much. Probably my second or third favorite of the night. It was just really good wrestling between two guys that really get it, that really get each other. My hope now is that Daniel Garcia can go on to do some bigger things because it looked like he was doing that a few months ago. They stopped. He's ready. He's ready to make the leap out of Ring of Honor now in AEW, presumably, and go do something because he's ready. He's 24 years old, but he's one of the fastest rising stars. It's funny, at the end of last year, I wasn't all the way in on Daniel Garcia. This year has won me over big time. And I think this is a good way for him to end it.
I completely agree. Completely agree. Let's talk about the icing on the cake of this show, which was the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Title double dog collar match. The Briscoes defeated FTR to win back those World Tag Team titles. And what was a bloody brawl that wrestled all around the arena. Essentially 2 single matches that just were unbelievable. The spots in here, I was terrified. Scotty made a great point that I definitely want to highlight about the table spot, quote unquote, in this match. And I'll let you talk about that in a second. But I thought this match was fantastic. For me, I babied out. I like this match more. I like the Super Card of Honor match more than this match. But it's like, that's 5 stars. This is 4 3/4, and then Death Before Dishonor was 4.5. So it's like, it's all right there. So any other day might change, but this match I thought was a bloody affair. The only thing that took me out of it was Dax doing his headbutt of Doom with the steel around his head.
Yeah.
And just could not get it to work. I'm like, Dax, stop it, man. Just stop the spot. You're not doing it. You can't get it at all. And then he just held it like an idiot, and that took me out of it. But ultimately, I thought it was a great match. Scotty, what did you think of this match?
I mean, we saw one of the greatest trilogies in wrestling history complete. That is what we saw.
Oh yeah.
I think this match for me probably was better than the first because it was a struggle. It was a culmination of that first match and that second match. And we had moments from that first match and second match throughout this match. We saw the struggles of FTR from this year and how it kind of came down to, all right, well, the Briscoes, not only are the Briscoes somewhat trying to defend Ring of Honor in a lot of ways, because, right, this is the thing with FTR, and this is why I think their matches work so well. All these rumors about them possibly going to WWE, it actually aids them in a lot of ways in their matches because it almost adds another story for the team facing them. FTR came into this match probably the heavy baby faces, but by the end you had them boys FTR back and forth. You had the incredible struggle at the end between these two teams.
Yeah.
Where you just have Mark on the outside just pulling and pulling and pulling, and this is where it got to that top level for me because you have Jay in there just trying to choke out Dax, and that perfect final image of Cash reaching back in, just trying to save his partner, much like the DIY FTR match that I love so much, where they're sitting in the ring looking at each other. But this was a little different.
Yeah.
But yeah, that table spot that you were talking about. There's this thing in modern wrestling where if you set up a table, someone's going through it, guaranteed. Yeah. They set up a table in this match, they didn't touch it.
No.
Instead, they had a more risky, terrifying spot where Cash Wheeler pulled Mark Briscoe from the top rope all the way down to the floor onto chairs.
Yeah. That's absolutely just insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrifying. When that was the last spot that they were in the match physically, that's when we started the brawl outside. And I think that was an interesting way to kind of lead to FTR's doom, is that you pulled him down, but you were still exhausted from all that. And by the end, Mark just had enough, despite being destroyed, to keep you out. And it was a fantastic war back and forth. Truthfully, before the end of the year's up, I'm going to have to watch both the first and second because the first happened so long ago. And there is recency bias, but I am with the likes of Meltzer and others that this is what a dog collar match should be.
Yeah.
Right? It's an all-out war between two teams, and you know that. But the dog collars aren't the match. Again, this is kind of like the Pure Rules match. It's just keeping these guys together.
Yeah.
And you use that chain once in a while, and it makes for a better match instead of, because a lot of people love the CM Punk and MJF one from earlier this year. I thought that was really, really good. The Cody Rhodes and Brody Lee one from What's By That, really, really good. Tony Khan gets how to do these dog collar matches, but this was fantastic. These two teams are two of the very best in the world, and now we need Briscoes versus Young Bucks one more time.
I was going to say that the table spot, what I also loved about it is that it felt improv. That Mark, the crowd's chanting, "We want tables," and Mark's just like, F it, and then just clearing off the timekeeper's table and putting it there. And then they work around it and then had zero intention to ever use that table. Yeah. Instead of changing the spot or whatever, they're just like, no, just leave it there. It'll make it look even more brutal.
Tease and then gave him something bigger.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I completely agree with that assessment. Jared, what do you think about this match? And how does it rank in all of the trilogies that you've seen this year? Oh, I think you're muted. I think you muted. Your cat muted you.
Yeah, my cat is currently sabotaging me.
I get that all too well.
Nice little run-in by Dewey here. But yeah, I think it's the second of the three, I think the one, like you said, Ryan, the one at Death Before Dishonor, right? The
Supercard of Honor, the first
Supercard of Honor. So the names, I don't,
it's fine.
Honor. Good enough.
Just throw in Honor somewhere in the title and you get it.
Yeah. I really think that, man, as much as I get tired of the whole FTR shtick of like, oh, we're not happy, oh, this and that, like, man, whenever they get in the ring, they're just lights out.
Yeah.
You give those guys the ball and they run with it. All the spots you guys talked about, I completely agree with. What I'm more interested in is the story that they're going to tell right now. Are they going to lose all the belts and then get the AEW one? And then I think in my mind, that's what happens. And then they get it right as their contract runs out and they don't, quote unquote, don't sign a new contract and they tour the indies, kind of like the Summer of Punk thing, which should have been way longer.
Interesting.
Right? Go to the indies, defend it there, defend it on Impact, defend it where the fuck ever you want.
Interesting. New Japan.
And then, Tony Khan's finally like, all right, we got to get you back. We'll give you the big money deal, quote unquote. I think that's how you play that because it plays into them and their like Twitter game. I mean, of course they could always go back to WWE for more money.
Yeah.
But these guys are artistically inclined people. They love their craft. So I don't see them going back, but to lose to the Usos 4 times, like 50 times in a year, but I don't know, maybe
it would be such a letdown if they went back.
It would be such a letdown. It's the whole reason why, like, you see everybody, oh, yeah, I want the Young Bucks to be. Dog, they're just going to lose to the Usos 50, or, they're just going to go 50-50 with them. I don't need to see that.
No. Yeah. I've seen all the matches that they need to have there.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
so
there's not like there's new teams for them to have matches.
You're telling me you're not interested in FTR versus Pretty Deadly?
I mean, that'd probably be a pretty good match. No.
I mean, I could just go back and watch their NXT run against American Alpha. That was
that's a good run.
Those were great, but
that's why they're here.
Yeah, that's why they're here, and I think that would be super interesting, giving them quote unquote time off.
Yeah,
as well as being like, hey, defend it on this indie. Hey, defend it at PWG.
Yeah,
sure. That would be super cool.
Yeah. No, it's not bad, and I think they're definitely losing the titles. We got the AAA Night of Champions coming up with them versus Dragon Lee and Dralistico, and that match that has been held off for all year. They have obviously the New Japan Wrestle Kingdom match against either Aussie Open. It's probably going to be Aussie Open or Goto and Yoshihashi. You never know. You never know if Goto and Yoshihashi, but it'll probably be Aussie Open. I wouldn't be surprised losing that, and then in the new year, once at some time, as Dax doesn't even know, at some time in the new year, we'll figure it out later. This man doesn't know when his contract ends. What are you talking about? I think it's not a bad idea, and doing that sort of Summer of Punk illusion for FTR there, for FTR Bold there. That's not a bad idea. So I would love to see that. All right, let's talk about speaking about numbers all over the place. Let's talk about NXT Deadline. This show happened post Ring of Honor Final Battle, and it was a rousing affair, wasn't it, fellas?
It wasn't bad.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
That was a real win. Because most NXT shows are bad.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Well, let's talk about the show here. First off was the NXT Women's Title #1 contendership Iron Survivor Challenge match. I guess before we get to the match, just sort of an overall concept. What did you guys think of the Iron Survivor Challenge match?
Going into it, I thought it was going to be a mess. Because like that whole segment of like, oh yeah, like she's and like setting up who is going to be in it with all those people, and then like
we ridiculed it last week. We ridiculed it badly. Kiana James, why is Kiana James in here? She's won like 2 matches.
Wasn't that like Molly Holly was like ripping it out or something like that?
Yeah.
But just like talking about it and like trying to decipher what was going on, what it was going to be like and what was going to like. I'm just going, okay, this could be a huge train wreck, but it worked out.
Mm-hmm. I thought the match was real chaotic. And some points, I think the match type works in terms of the chaos. I think there are points in the match where I'm enjoying the chaos, but there are some points where it's like, okay, we got these pins, and then there's people in the penalty box, and then these numbers are ticking down, but this number's ticking up, and there's just sometimes where what I was looking at was way too chaotic, and the crowd constantly counting down. That all that through it felt like a match at that point that was invented for how the match to count down, the crowd to count down, and I was getting overwhelmed at points by the chaotic picture of what the match was delivering. Whereas some aspects of it, I like the chaoticness, but it didn't quite get there fully for me personally. Scotty, what did you think of the match?
I think this would be a really good match if you had 5 wrestlers who are more advanced, especially when I saw the women's one. With the women's one, I was like, okay, it's asking a lot to do this whole like, because there's a lot of rules to this match. And I was just talking about this with rules. It's like you don't want a lot of rules in wrestling matches. And I think the simpleness of it kind of being like an Iron Man match, but shorter with multiple people is cool.
Yeah.
I don't think the penalty box thing is that bad because it played into the drama towards the end of these matches. But I think you do have to figure out you got to rework it in some ways, but there is a lot of potential there because I thought the men's one was actually really, really good match in terms of just chaotic multi-men's, and that's kind of what WWE does well. It's a chaotic multi-man matches. We've said that multiple times. But there's plus and minuses to it. It's a good idea to do once in a while. But also I don't want to do it like every year annually either. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
If you want to bring it out once in a while to do it, great. But also if you're going to decide who's in it, make it make sense too. Because like the men's one, and I don't really care if I skip around because it's NXT. Is that the men's one benefited big time from Axiom being in this match. If Axiom wasn't in the match, it would not have been as good. But the chaoticness was a good part of it. It's just you have to figure out okay, someone's coming in with 10 minutes left, and then stuff like that. But I did like they have to figure out the score board too.
Yeah,
because I liked the scoreboard. But when you have times just popping up here and there, it's like, all right, whoa, timeout, because they, and they were starting it before they got on the penalty box, and it's like, what is happening, right? And they did the WWE thing where they fought in the penalty box. I was like, you just had to not do that.
That frustrated me a lot, where they fought in the penalty box after one of them could leave, or maybe both of them. I think one after Axiom would leave. Why did they not fight while they were in the penalty box?
That would have made sense.
I was very frustrated by that whole thing.
But you know what? First time, I thought it could have been a lot worse.
Sure. Yeah,
and that's the biggest takeaway. I mean, I think they did a good enough job, and the right women. Roxanne Perez needed to win, in my opinion. The men's match, I figured out once they announced that pay-per-view that they're probably going to save Carmelo because they have New Year's Eve or whatever the hell it's called. So they'll probably save Carmelo for Vengeance Day.
Yeah,
which makes sense. But hey, you tried something new. I can't get mad at you for that, and it wasn't a total disaster.
I would have loved to see this match on like a New Blood Stardom show as like a high-speed title match.
Jesus.
Just like the pinfalls, you Saki Kashima in there, you had Azumi in there.
Oh yeah, just pinning people left and
right. I think that would be a very fun match to do it that kind of style, high speed. Yeah. Just make it even more chaotic.
Yeah. Be like a cruiserweight type thing in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Right.
So that first match there was Roxanne Perez defeating Cora Jade, Indy Hartwell, Kiana James, Zoe Stark. Kiana James didn't get a pinfall in this match. She got 0 points, just like her win-loss record this year. Don't know what she was in the match, but Roxanne ultimately got the win, pinning Cora Jade at the 23-minute mark, and Cora Jade unable to answer back with Roxanne getting the win. Crowd was behind Roxanne the entire time, so that was also nice to see. We kind of talked about the overview of the matches and stuff, but there's any clear points that you guys want to bring up about this women's title number one contendership match?
No, but I would like to bring up Booker T just in general being a complete lunatic all night.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Like he was a lot all night, guys. Like he like I usually don't mind him because it's Booker, like whatever, but like damn, last night it was tough to get through some part.
He's in rare form.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but like, and then he had that comment of like, or like earlier in the day, like, oh, Wheeler Yuta, that's not a name for it. It's like, dog, we have people like Dolph Ziggler and Braun Breaker, KKER.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine. Like, get out of here. I don't know. It's hard for me when Booker's unhinged like that too. He kind of takes me out of the match.
I think the ultimate commentary booth is Booker T and Taz. And just the chaos that would
I like
develop.
Taz.
I know, but just the chaos that would develop during that sort of commentary booth would just be unbelievable.
I thought the women's match was more together than I ever expected it to be, if that makes sense. Because, like, when you have someone like Kiana James, who, again, I've never seen wrestle in my life, and you have Indy Hartwell, who I thought was better than she actually is once upon a time. Cora Jade, who, you and me have talked about, isn't necessarily the best wrestler yet, though I know she's the next Sasha Banks in their mind. You can kind of break it apart. Zoe Stark's whatever. I don't really, I never know who she is.
I can't wait for Cora Jade versus Saya Kamatani in 5 years from now.
But overall, I thought it was fine. There was no spots I could think of. I think Roxanne's just so much better than all of them that anytime she was involved, the match was pretty good.
Next match was Isla Dawn versus Alba Fire.
I don't even want to talk about this. I don't even want to talk about it.
My favorite spot in this match is not the referee spot where he gets possessed. Mine was when Vic Joseph sees Isla Dawn smiling and reacts something to the effect of, Isla Dawn is smiling. What the heck? Can she do that? Like just destroyed his entire being knowing that she was smiling. And I just love that.
Putting a hex on the referee is not a DQ?
No, not in NXT. Not in NXT. There's a picture going around of the side-by-side comparison of the Ring of Honor referee bleeding and the NXT referee vomiting black bile, just being like, this really sums up Tony Khan and Triple H's views of wrestling. So yeah, no, not a DQ.
I think Brian Alvarez put it really well in a tweet. We're gonna look back in like 20 years on this like supernatural goofy shit and just be like, what were we thinking?
Yeah, it's untenable right now. It is untenable.
It's the dirt worst.
Yeah, it is not good.
This is bad.
And Alba Fire loses again.
I've never seen her win.
Nope. Can we also talk just real quickly, just the idea of like, I know NXT UK is over, but a lot of NXT UK all over NXT, right? Just like a lot of NXT.
None of the ones I liked.
Yeah, I don't know. Where's Tyler Bate? Where's Ilya Dragunov?
Except for Kaylee, I guess. I mean, I like her, but she loses all the time.
Yeah.
Like, where's Tyler Bate?
Mm-hmm.
Where's Mako Satomura? Where's
Blair Davenport?
I was going to say even Blair Davenport. Like, where's Ilya Dragunov? Like, where'd all these people go? Where's all the good ones?
Yeah.
Why are we hiding them away?
Yeah.
No, instead I have to get Isla Dawn and JD McDonough, and that's probably it, but feels like enough.
NXT Tag Team title match here was announced last Tuesday that the New Day were going to challenge, and it was the New Day that won the titles against Pretty Deadly. So it was Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods as your new NXT Tag Team champions. Came out of nowhere. Booker T, speaking of commentary, hated no sold, hated the idea of them being on his screen, hated the entire concept of their existence on this television show. That was just baffling. Just the continuation of like Booker T not okay with specific talents on his television. But yeah,
all.
What's that?
I've learned to tune him out.
Yeah.
I will say though, Pretty Deadly is like the team that I just have no idea who they are. I don't know where they came from. I just know I keep seeing them pop up in my face with titles. They just have like 3 tag title reigns now all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I just learned that their names are Elton Prince and Kit Wilson.
Yep.
Learned that today.
One of them is dating I think it's Kit Wilson maybe is dating former Ring of Honor lady that moved to NXT and is on Level Up. What's her name?
Awesome. Yeah.
I found that out and I was like, whoa, what?
Her name, don't worry, her name's useless to us. But this match was a lot better than I expected it to be because the New Day are very good at tag team wrestling. Shocker. They're literally here because they can't give them the other titles. So they said, we need to get you guys tag titles.
Yeah.
Because it's been a while, but we need the Usos to keep theirs. So go get the NXT ones and we'll say, oh, you're Triple Crown. Woo, yay.
Yeah.
It's fine by me because I don't give a shit. Right? Like that's when they won, I was happy. I was like, yeah, New Day. Woo!
Yeah.
It was a good match though.
Any thoughts?
The best match on the night.
Any thoughts on this match, Jared?
It was good. Booker T was a maniac. You know, I like the New Day.
Yeah. That's pretty much the takeaway.
NXT title number 1 contendership Iron Survivor Challenge match. Grayson Waller was able to get 3 points to win this match, defeating Axiom, Carmelo Hayes, JD McDonough, and Joe Gacy. JD McDonough gets 0 points. Big old goose egg for McDonough.
That's funny. I like Axiom, aka Kid. I think he's really freaking good. And shouldn't just be in a mask doing math. But hey,
yeah.
That's
right?
Weird. Like, what a weird thing to choose for one of the best guys. Not even in NXT. I think he's one of the best guys in the company in terms of just being a professional wrestler.
I'm fine with him changing his name. A-Kid.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
But why
that name's not going to go anywhere.
Why does he have to do math? Like, why is this the gimmick we gave him?
I like the gimmick because it allows. Is it
because he got to high school, so he's not an A-Kid anymore?
I like the concept. I like the gimmick mostly because it allows moments where Vic Joseph is explaining the gimmick to Booker T, and Booker T is like,
Booker
"That's stupid."
Not happy.
And then the follow up moment of, "Oh, he's a mathematical genius. He studied his opponents perfectly, and he gets pinned first." It's just like, oh, so this guy doesn't run away with it or anything. He's really great at it. He really studies his opponents, and he loses first.
Yeah, I thought that was funny. He flies a lot more than I remember from his NXT UK days. Like because he's in a mask now, I guess they probably like, hey, go do like all the crazy stuff you can do more.
Be more of a luchador.
Which is fine, because he's great.
Yeah.
It's just like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, again, why is this your gimmick? You're so much better than this. Yeah. But that's the Shawn Michaels booking way. Carmelo Hayes, he's ready to go up.
Yeah.
Just kind of being wasted away now. But you probably want that match with Braun before he goes up. But man, what is stopping us from putting him on Raw or SmackDown? Like, do they actually really need him? Yes, the answer is yes. They actually do need him. But
you got to imagine that he's coming out during the Royal Rumble, right? Like,
I think so. He's a star. Like, when his music hits, and I know the NXT crowd's like really weird and kind of terrifies me a little bit, but like when he shows up, I'm like, all right, like this guy's clearly the star of the bunch. It's not even like a question.
Yeah. So you saying NXT crowd remind me of my moment of the Isla Dawn Alba Fire match where Alba Fire is on right before the ref spot. Alba Fire is on like the top of the rope about to do like a diving drop kick or something, and it cuts to a wide shot, and Alba Fire's like, "Come on, crowd, let's get into it," and everyone's on their seat, arms crossed, like not on board with this match whatsoever, super bored out of their mind, and just like, oh, great, love this show. NXT title match, Braun Breaker defeats Apollo Crews. I thought it was a really good match. I thought this was the best match of the night. Personally, I thought, there were the WWE isms of zooming in on Apollo Cruz's
that
eyes.
took me out of it.
And then open them up like,
I was done from there.
My vision's clear. I thought that was fucking ridiculous. But I think the work was there. Otherwise, I think the work between them was there. And I think Braun Breaker's looking better and better with each match that I see him in. It's just, I was like, that one WWE-ism is just goddamn stupid.
It was enough for me to be like, all right, I'm checking. Like you guys said, how like the Dax thing with the headbutt. I was watching this. I was like, all right, I can't do this anymore. I was like, everything rest of this match dead to me. Yeah. This is so stupid. I was like, why is he the Undertaker without being the Undertaker?
Yeah.
And then he lost. And I also forgot Braun Breaker wins with spears now. So like when he won, I was like, oh, so it's over. All right, cool. Sounds good.
Yeah.
Because I was like, they literally just told me that Apollo Crews hit Braun Breaker's finish on him. And then he proceeded to not use that to get the win.
Yeah. Well, because his finisher was stolen, so he can't use it anymore.
I guess so. Yeah.
Exactly. Jerry, what did you think of this match? Final thoughts.
Same. I thought it was good. I like Braun Breaker's matches. I can't not think of Vince McMahon saying his name in my head when I read it. Braun Breaker. Something like that.
Really emphasizing the double K there.
Yeah.
Breaker.
And then, or like being in the earpiece of like Vic Joseph. Damn it, it's Braun Breaker. Like kind of like getting after the lead announcer.
Yeah.
But I think he needs to be on the main shows. I think he's going to be their world champion within a year.
Wow.
Braun Breaker, really?
Yeah. I think if Triple H wants to have a mark, I think this bloodline thing is great with Sammy. I hate Roman's matches.
Yeah.
I think they're boring. I think they're the same. Like as soon that one that he had against Cena last year, was that last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ever since then, it was just like, I'm over it. All he does is shit talk, walk around, beat him up, super punch, talk crap, and then just like, Doug, I get it. I get what you're doing. The Sami Zayn stuff is the best stuff. I think that is the most interesting stuff. I don't really like the Usos, except for the Sami stuff. Once that gets resolved, I think Braun's got to take it, because who else? Who are you gonna put on one of the Paul brothers? No.
I wouldn't be opposed to it. That match was really good.
That match was great.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. But
them to not crown Logan Paul, because if he commits to enough dates, they will.
Yeah. No, I know. But I think Braun Breaker is going to be Triple H's guy.
You would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think so.
I think like that's the money in the future. And I think while Roman is going to work less dates now after WrestleMania, I think Breaker is the one to take it. And I think I'll watch more if it's Breaker. That would interest me more, because right now, one, I don't watch Raw usually because it's 3 hours, and two, I just can't care about that bloodline stuff outside of Sami Zayn.
I get you. You just failed to acknowledge him. That's fine.
I at first I was like, yeah, I failed to. Oh, damn it!
The bit's gone.
It's gone. No, I get what you're saying completely. And I don't know if I could see Braun Breaker personally. I think there's the Cody of it all that puts me in the question about all that. And then there's just them and the Bruno of it all that I wouldn't be surprised if they try to go for the Bruno. I think it'd be stupid, but whatever. But I can totally see that happening.
And Triple H is such a Bruno mark too, that you got to wonder, would he do that?
Well, I can make my own Bruno. That's my thinking there. But we'll see what happens. And I think Braun, though, to that point, though, I think Braun has a couple more years in NXT. I don't know if he's going as soon as he loses his title, he's going back up and getting rocket strapped. I think he has maybe a little more time he needs to season but we'll
I
see.
think he's up by the end of 2023.
Okay, not Royal Rumble, Survivor Series. He's in for War Games.
What about not this year's WrestleMania? Do you think he's going to main event or headline the next year's? I think that's what is going to happen.
That's possible. I think he's definitely going to headline multiple WrestleManias. It's just a matter of when. I mean, they have 3 people ready to go up right now. It's Breaker, Mello, and Roxanne. Though Roxanne was ready to go up probably when she signed to begin with.
Yeah.
But that's a good thing to have, right? And Breaker's only going to keep getting better. Like, he's not a finished product by any stretch. He's been wrestling for a year and a half. Mello's been in it longer, obviously. Mello's a bit older, so he's more of the finished product. But I mean, between Perez and Breaker, you kind of get your 2 future cornerstones, at least I think, for those 2 divisions moving forward, which is good to have.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, there we go. I'm going to cut the New Japan stuff. We're going over time, but 3 matches. Bright Lights call here. Sonny's coming back. Will he actually have a match, or will it be at Wrestle Kingdom? We'll find out this Wednesday. That's the preview. But thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Jared, for coming on to Ring Post Radio. It's been a blast having you on the show.
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, no, this has been a lovely time. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
But before we go, we got, of course, to do some plugs. And of course, we'll be doing our match of the week. So, Jared, where can people find you? Any plugs? And then also, what was your match of the week?
You can find me on Twitter at JLUTHY, JLuthy. I talk about pro wrestling and I talk about movies and other dumb stuff. My match of the week was the Jon Moxley and Konosuke match from Rampage. I thought that kick out at 1 was so cool. That moment sealed it for me. Moxley gave him a lot, and I think they are going to keep giving him more and more, and he will probably be the next in line for, I don't know, I could see him All Atlantic or something like that, having a good run there, or just be a fighting champion somewhere, and I think he's money.
Perfect. Anything else to plug?
Subscribe to Patreon so you can hear me DM and DM these wonderful people that I try not to kill overtly every week, but they almost find ways all the time.
We've gotten close a couple times to just total death. Yeah. I know Mikey was very close last one.
Yeah.
No, we're losing a little bit.
That's true.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Scotty, anything to plug? Where can people find you? Match of the week. Hit us.
What to plug? Yeah, you can check out my interview with Nagi Sayaka. That's cool.
I got a question I got to ask about that, by the way, off air.
All right. You can also check out my interview that's coming out this week that I'm not going to say on air because it's secret.
I'm going to ask that off air too, apparently.
I still won't tell you, but all right. That's about it for me. And then my match of the week, since he took that one, I will say Yuki Yoshioka versus Masaki Mochizuki from Dragon Gate.
Yeah.
Very good. Yoshioka's,
nice.
Kind of that guy that you want to be watching.
That was the free show of Dragon Gate, if I'm not mistaken.
It was free, so you can check that out. I don't know if it's free forever or not, but it was free.
Sure.
And it was Cork and Hall. Yoshioka's a stud. They went with him this year, and he's proven to be in. Mochizuki's a legend, really, for Dragon Gate. So it was great.
That's awesome. My match of the week is going to be also from AEW. It's going to be the Bones Max Caster versus FTR World Tag Team Title match.
Yeah, that was great too.
Nice. I thought that match was also great.
FTR good.
They had 2 4+ star matches from me in 1 week. That's what I'm talking about. FTR. That's what I'm talking about. They're making it tough for me for the Count Out Year End Awards to come up with
Darby and Joe was really good too.
That one was also very good, but
no one said it, but it was really good.
FTR making it real tough this year for the the Count Out Year End Awards for me to be like, okay, who am I nominating between them, the Briscoes, the Aussie Open, you know.
Briscoes are a funny case because like
they are a funny case. They are a conversation.
Every time they're on a real show, they deliver.
Yeah, exactly. And by real show, you mean
Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor. You can also follow me on Twitter at Ryan Knightsey. You can follow the whole show at CountOutPod. Like Jared said, you got to subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/CountOutPod. We got a bunch of episodes, I think 10 out now, of the D&D show, Cantrips and Clotheslines. So you go check out all of that. A lot of fun stuff there. I play a character called The Pebble. That's right. I'm Ricky Starks. You can catch up all of season 1 of Ryan Hasn't Seen Anything, all 10 episodes of that. Scott and I are talking about ideas for season 2. But we got some matches written down, and maybe it's probably going to be one of those matches like the Miracle on Bourbon Street that I never watched whatsoever, that I missed completely. So maybe that match will be in there for season 2 as well. Anything else to plug? You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all that jazz. And I think until next week, we'll see you all then. Jared, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been a lovely guest to have on. He hits us with the Samoa Joe.
Heck yeah, buddy.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the show of Ring Post Radio. We'll be back next week. And until then, goodbye, everybody.